Foaler video to show some of the office earlier.
Oh yeah.
And you guys are the first one under Google.
Really?
Yes.
That's cool.
I laughed and went,
I know that
"Why is
voice.
that there?"
Hey look, that's me.
They're like, "Where's this?" I was like, "That's just up here in the studio." It's all computer. Yeah.
Yeah, we broke the internet because everyone thought we were cool.
Yes, that's a good one.
Next we used to use the blue ones, the multi-use ones.
Yeah.
But then it's like, how many uses do you have left? I don't know.
You don't know until you fail.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is ridiculous. But Andrew's looking into ways to replace the batteries and have a way, because like he says, technically you can assign a number to each one. So we have multiple mares. It would be
Right.
nice to know Polly is foaling, not just someone is foaling.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it'd be nice, like, because if you have like a barn full of mares, it's like, okay, which one is it? Rather than going through all your cameras and trying to figure out like which one is it.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
And then a way too to see how much battery life is left, and to either charge it like wirelessly or
Yes.
replace it when it's getting low.
One would think with the way wireless technology and everything is that you could quite easily do that.
Yeah.
The technology is not complicated and it's being used elsewhere. So it seems to make sense. How are you? How are you making it? Huh?
So yeah, take a look at her udder and let me know what your thoughts are. Because like I said, she's kind of gearing up a little faster than I would like her to.
She's dry at the teats today, but you're right. Like there is a fair little bit of development, and this plaque is
Yeah,
built up
and that's
quite a bit
new.
too,
Yeah.
right? If it was just this and not this, I wouldn't necessarily be too excited. But
Yeah.
that abdominal plaque,
Yeah.
you can see it building, kind of working. It's starting to square up, and there's a little bit through here too, eh?
Yeah.
So that's still not dramatic, but it could become more within a
Right.
couple of days.
Yeah. And then she had like you can kind of like we gotta clean her legs, but to me it feels like milk.
She might have dripped a
She's
little
dripping
bit.
a little bit because she was wet this morning,
Well,
but she wasn't like soaked.
I don't know if, like, we can put her on Regimate. I don't think there's any downside to having her on a bit of Regimate.
Yeah.
It's certainly not going to delay the inevitable.
Right.
But I kind of wonder if maybe we should, as a precaution. Whether it makes any difference is the big question.
Right.
I don't know. I'll double check to see what we've got on the shelf when I get back to the clinic. If I have a 150 ml bottle, I'll get it ready for you today.
I think we still have some of
still have
Flint's.
some?
Yeah.
Okay. Then why not let's start her.
Okay.
I don't think there's no downside to starting her, and if it happened to delay her for even a week, it wouldn't be the end of the world. So,
Yeah.
but ultimately, we're still. You said the 21st was her. No, 12 days from now would be her
Her safe date.
safe.
So it's like she's close,
Yeah, it'd be
and like
nice
she's
though,
not
the
dripping
next
yet, but
2 weeks maybe we should,
yeah,
and then we can just kinda wean her off it if we get to the safe date and let her be.
yeah,
And who knows, I mean, maybe this is all just a little bit of her, that's not gonna change much, like she could stay exactly like this for the next 10 days.
right, yeah,
But there is quite a bit, and I think this is what really stands out to me, because that tends to be something that would be a little bit closer to the 320 mark when you start to see that again.
yeah. Should we do an ultrasound to make sure she doesn't have anything going on with her placenta?
Well, so thinking a little bit about kind of what the approach would be, we'd put her on Regimate if we did think she had a placentitis, although she's not that developed,
Mm.
like not dripping, and if she
Yeah.
was doing that, I'd be maybe a little more anxious. It's not the end of the world to do an ultrasound, we can. I'm just kind of thinking like she's more normal than abnormal, even though she's developing a little bit of.
Right.
If she was dripping a lot, I'd be really anxious, and then I'd probably have run antibiotics, maybe some vitamin, and.
Right. The whole shebang.
So we could just keep an eye on her, like take a daily assessment.
Okay.
And see if anything seems to be changing in the wrong direction, and if that's the case, then we'll react accordingly. I'm kinda hopeful that she's just playing with us though, like.
Yeah, like she does normally, like I say, wax 2 weeks beforehand, and she's done it with the previous 2 foals, and it was like
Yeah.
2 weeks to the day.
And she went how many days on her last 2 foals?
16 days early with Benny, and I think it was 9 days early with Gambit, I think.
So that's really only another 20 days from now anyway.
Yeah.
So,
And like her mom always went early, because Rio went
right,
14 days, 10 days, and Cass was 21 days. So it's like, I
yeah,
don't
so
know
the
if
whole-
there's a genetic,
the whole family seems to be a bit that way.
yeah, if it's just a genetic thing that they just cook them up a little bit faster. And like we don't 100% know her ovulation date, we're just kind of going by, I think, the size of the follicle at the time of
Yeah.
checking
So
her.
it could be
So we,
plus minus a little bit there, could be a day difference or two.
yeah,
If she really was slow on ovulation rate.
yeah.
So, okay.
There's YouTube famous now. Everyone's saying how good of a vet he is and how sweet he is to the horses.
Doctor feel like compassionate.
Hey. So for Jazz, Kayla and you had kind of talked, Trevor, about
Yeah.
like planning for worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Just in case. So she's due April 12th.
Okay.
So if we need to prep someone to be a nurse mare, basically my questions are how long should we put them on hormones? Like is it 2 weeks or a month? Like should we order something and
We could. So one of the challenges is that that kind of thing, when it happens and you need it, it's just you're kind of behind the eight ball.
yeah.
So there is a protocol. I haven't used it in ages, so I'll have to actually look into it. But I think it's like a 10-day program which tries to stimulate lactation.
Yep.
That would be one plan. The other plan is if someone else has the awful misfortune of losing a foal,
Yeah.
you kind of put a call out at sea. There might be a mare in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, that somewhere in the last few days had come up big,
Yeah.
lost a foal that would be a good mare to get, put that foal on. That's always that possibility.
So like my worry mind is like it'd be nice if possible to have someone here prepped and ready to
Yeah.
go.
So who do we have that would fit the bill that has had a foal before?
Well, that's what the complicated part is. So we went to all the mares, and basically, kind of the top 2 picks would be Rio or Rue. But Rue's a major component of Anna's lesson program.
Okay.
But she's had foals, but she's not pregnant now or being bred. Rio has had lots of foals, loves babies, but
She's older.
she's
I
older.
don't know if that's a concern.
She's a little lean right now from her usual because she went to Dalkit and then came back. So she's been gaining weight, I think, Kayla. Like she's been, but she also had that lump there. So
Right, yeah.
she would be the ideal if it was fine for her health wise. I just don't want to do anything that would like.
Yeah. I can't think of any reason why why she wouldn't be suitable, and if she's got another month to go, she'll gain even more weight, but
Yeah.
she's better on the right plane of nutrition. Your mares are all pretty laid back and easy going in life, so that helps because it gives you kind of, you don't have to worry about personality.
Yeah.
Like some mares, if they're just really impossible, then I feel like they do.
But she loves babies, like she'd
Yeah.
probably be the best, like
The
she's
best
like the
mom.
nanny.
She's the nanny, yeah.
Yeah, so she's probably the one I planned
Yeah.
for.
Okay.
I can do a little homework on the induction of lactation program later today.
Like, would we need to pull any blood work, like to check for anything for her, like?
No, probably nothing, as long as she's otherwise like gaining weight normal, there's no outward issues, say with the mammary gland, like any, you know,
Yeah.
asymmetry, that kind of thing, like make us wonder if something's abnormal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, probably wouldn't worry about maybe the blood work or anything like that, I
Okay.
don't see there being any need to.
So if you guys are okay and Anna's good with that plan, I'd like to kind of get that ball in motion now, just so.
Yeah.
Like Jazz just started building an udder, so, and she's not due, well, it's almost a month now she's due, but just kinda, cause it won't hurt her, like if we don't need her milk, then it's fine, Jazz nurses. Unless you had any other idea, we've been kind of batting ideas back and forth, trying to come up with the best sort of.
I think those are both, like, you know, the induction of lactation, and then the other option is if there was a mare, you know, that you'd find in the moment. Neither one of those are easy in the moment, but if we have a mare that we don't mind inducing lactation on,
Yeah.
if it goes well and she really starts to lactate well, then we've got a ready-made solution if we need it,
Yeah,
and that's okay. If we don't need it, well, then we just don't worry about it, we don't milk her, we let her dry off.
yeah,
So there's nothing extra you need to do, just kind of let her
Yeah.
dry off on her own, like.
Yeah, it's an injection program, and which generally should work fairly well, especially when there's head multiple holes.
and she's the one that they were talking about a bit ago that she always has milk, like,
Right.
Yeah, like she, I don't know if she'd start lactating enough on her own if the baby was to nurse from her, or.
She might. You kind of wonder, right? Like,
Yeah.
she just get going on her own without needing too much. The flip side is the hormones might just turn her on that much easier than she's not
Yeah.
dormant. So that might actually be a good choice.
Where Rio has that, like edema, whatever it is, right in front of her udders, because that's why I was milking her, like expressing her teats, because Anna was like, it usually helps it go down. Is that something that would be concerning, or is that just kind of normal for an older mare that has had babies before? Because she just kind of has that, like, just right in front of her teats. Yeah. That's what I'm wondering too. I'm like,
and with Jazz, like where her feet are and stuff, like, would you say like as long as she's kind of where she's at now, it's fine for her to, like, in a perfect world, I'd at least like to have her, like, you know, if she's comfortable enough till the baby's weaned, but it's like, I guess like is the, I almost said childbirth, but the foaling, do you like anticipate it to be very hard on what's going on with her feet, and like we should just kind of plan to like,
Not necessarily.
okay,
I think that's a really difficult thing to
like
know
we
the
just have to
answer.
see in
I
the
think you have to
moment.
almost just take it day by day.
Yeah,
You know, I expect if anything, it's that last 10 days before foaling
yeah,
that is maybe just as much risk as that window right at foaling,
yeah,
because there are some metabolic changes happening. The foal is really starting to get prepped. We've got a much larger, heavier foal, so the physical realities of that start to have a bit of an issue. And then a lot of horses start to back off from their intake a little bit in that same window. So So that's probably as much of a concern window as maybe the week post-foaling, right?
And like the pain that Jazz is on, do we have any concern with that affecting the foal through the milk?
Not at low dose like we're using,
Okay.
no. Vanamine's pretty darn safe. If
Yeah.
we were using bute on a daily basis, I'd be probably a little more anxious.
Yeah.
Bute does travel, and what happens is it metabolizes and into an active metabolite that will pass in milk as well.
Okay.
So it's a little more tricky to kind of get rid of it all.
Yeah.
At low dose Vanamine, which is essentially like half dosing what we're doing right now,
Yeah.
I'm not particularly worried about
Okay.
that. Even low dose bute wouldn't be a big concern. I just don't think it would help that she'd be sore on low dose bute.
Yeah.
Bute, with me at least, I've always thought that bute, in order to get the effect, would need to be kind of on the upper range of it,
Yeah.
or at least in the normal range, whether it be too low, because
Okay.
it just doesn't seem to give us good coming. And I think, it's weird how things change over time, but when I graduated from vet school, I remember being like, probably nervous about NSAIDs and horses and how much to use and how much is too much, all this. And I still have a healthy respect for them, but kind of the way it's taught in vet school, probably, I don't know if it's fair to say that it overemphasizes the concerns about them, because the concerns are real, but then you start to kind of say, well, how do you get to that lowest effective dose and keep safety at the forefront? And I think early in my career, I would have been really anxious about having a horse on Vanamine for weeks and weeks. But then you meet the case that forces your hand into it, and you start to kind of say, well, how can I do this the most safely possible? And in the last 10 years, I got a lot of diseases, whereas in my first 10 years, I was anxious.
Yeah.
And I've kind of discovered that, well, it's pretty darn safe stuff, but part of safety is limiting how much they're getting.
Yeah.
And I read an article maybe 1 year at vet school, and I still have it actually. I kept it because it was pretty darn good. It was kind of about the pharmacology of bute and how to use it more safely. And I took a lot from it, and it kind of relates, I think, to the other NSAIDs as well. Sometimes we think about those other risks of, chronic use of gastric ulcers and those kind of things. But I still think that it's pretty safe, and we can offset a lot of the risk if we're careful.
Yeah.
You're pretty chill. Well, there's the big side.
He's a hog, man. You're gonna itchy face. I'm trying to pull my big hairs on the wall.
There we go.
You see any feet yet?
Yo.
Come back in there.
I know. Yeah, you're pretty fabulous. Yes, you are. Good to see you.
Yeah, like where's the snacks? Yeah, you mean?
So the right side of her mammary gland is a little puppy at the leading edge.
Always been a bit lopsided, like so.
This side, like, look how it's as if it's perfectly involuted as it comes.
Yeah.
The right boat hangs just a little more stuff outside, but then it's right here. It's a little soft. It's not firm by any stretch. And that's kind of not a new thing. It's always been a bit that way.
Her udder's always been lopsided for sure.
I think she's got a little hernia.
Really?
Come and feel this. So I'm quite confident that's what that is.
It's okay, you just take it.
So if you just kind of do that, and then feel how it goes away, comes back real quick and easy, a little push. And then, if you kind of start here on the outside edge, up this way a little bit, to right about where my fingers are, you're going to feel a firm margin. Yeah. And then as I go to that, I can actually walk my fingers along towards my index finger, go up a little higher towards my index. Feel right there? So she's got a little hernia, so a little bit of an inguinal hernia, right in that right side of memory. I only got affected. But that, I'm quite sure that's what that is. It's not enough that it's any major concern because it's not fairly large.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a hernia. Really, really small ones that nothing gets into, or and for me, that one's big enough that it's probably something of this size. So it's just a little bit of a bulge. That explains the lopsidedness of the memory gland. They're always pushing on it up. But in terms of memory issue, that's not a memory gland problem.
No.
I think that's just an incidental finding. Yeah, like she's got that little hernia.
Surprise! Okay, parts of the hernia.
You know,
Check
the gland itself, it might be a little thicker on that right side,
Yeah.
but not enough that I'm concerned. There's no, like the texture feels pretty good. And when she's lactated in the past, she's lactated quite well.
Yeah, she wants it really bad.
She's got milk right now. She did last week.
Yeah, she expressed on the square with like white.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that is a little bit of what that is.
Yeah.
There's a little hernia up in there.
He's like, what?
While
Does that
they're
cause like
figuring
any
this out, and
And she's in good shape too.
yeah, I was gonna say, so it's like she's eating great
Yeah,
since,
she has
I
a
don't
little-
know why.
her only like real health issue is that she'll if she's in the testing environment. But if we're feeding her good hay and we don't have her in the arena when it's dusty, she'll never talk.
Spot like went away in the sun.
Yeah,
her little
yeah, I was feeling that.
dawn.
With that little spot, little scar right there. So really, like body condition wise, I would put her today at about a 5. So if she gained a half point, it was at 5.5. She's not growing fast, so she's getting up to 6. On it. Okay, so I'll look into the induction lactation protocol today, just to see what that looks like and see what availability is. And then I'll let you know on that, and we'll figure out a bit of a game plan. Can you do me a favor though, and just text me Jazz's due date,
Okay.
just so I have that right at the top of messages, because I've got that right there. That'll allow me to kind of work back in days. Obviously, we're guessing a little bit,
Yeah.
but I think my goal would be to probably have her getting into lactation maybe a few days past that date, because obviously we'll do colostrum feeding, and if we have to manage something that is, challenging and difficult, we can manage that for a short period of time.